Use of Force by Law Enforcement Officers by Catherine Eldridge. What is considered reasonable force? Law enforcement officers should use only the amount of force necessary to mitigate an incident, make an arrest, or protect themselves or others from harm. This definition is given by the National Institute of Justice. How does an officer know what is considered reasonable force? There is no universal set of rules for the use of force in law enforcement. Most officers receive guidance and training from the agencies they work for, but there is no set policy on when and how much to use. No two situations are alike. When considering what is reasonable force, the context of the situation plays a big part. No two situations are identical, and no two officers are the same. Officers receive training to judge when a crisis is about to happen. Situational awareness is a must in their position. Every single person is different. No one is going to react the same in a situation. So training is very important because it helps give them the best opportunity, but stressors always make a difference in every situation. Use of police force continuum. This includes officer presence, which means no force is used. The situation is resolved using interpersonal communication. Verbalization, use of words. Any force that is used is verbally and not physical. Empty hand control. Officer uses his or her body to gain control of situation. These are usually lock techniques, such as headlocks or putting the suspect under arrest. Less lethal methods can be chemical, blunt impact, or conducted energy devices. This would be when they bring out tear gas or tasers or their nightsticks. Lethal force. Officer uses lethal weapons to get control of situation. This should only be used in the most severe cases. Graham versus Connor, 490 U.S. 386. All use of force lawsuits are measured by standards established by the Supreme Court in the case of Graham versus Connor. Standards establishing Graham versus Connor. First, how severe is the crime that the suspect was thought to be committing? If it wasn't that severe, chances are the force was not necessary. Second, does the suspect show an immediate threat to the safety of the public or the officers? If there's no immediate threat, again, use of force not necessary. Third, was the subject trying to escape or actively resisting arrest? If the subject is cooperating and giving themselves up, then again, no need for force. Other court cases involving police use of force. Freeman versus Gore from 2007. It was decided in this case that police officers in all states are granted authority to use force to accomplish lawful objectives. Sharar versus Felsing in 1997. Outnumbered officers or officers confronted by powerful suspects may justify additional force. This meaning if there's one officer and 10 suspects, or a whole gang of people coming up to two officers, it is more accepted for them to use force. Tom versus Voida from 1992. Courts may consider the availability of less lethal weapons. If an officer has a taser, that should be used before pulling out a gun. Other court cases involving police use of force continued. Estate of Smith versus Silvas from 2006. An officer or agency cannot be held liable for the agency's failure to provide certain less lethal technologies. Kruger versus Furr from 1993, and Hunt versus County of Whitman from 2006. A suspect's impairment due to drugs and/or alcohol, or a known history of their mental illness, can contribute to the analysis of the threat that is posed by the suspect. If a suspect is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or is known to have a mental illness, they may pose a greater threat to the officer than someone who is not under the influence of those drugs. Whitley versus Albers, 1986, focuses on whether force was applied in a good faith effort to control the situation or if it was done sadistically. References: Darrell Ross from 2013, Civil Liability and Criminal Justice, 6th edition. National Institute of Justice from November 29, 2016, Police Use of Force. Ken Wallentine from September 5th of 2007, How to ensure use of force is reasonable and necessary and avoid claims of excessive force. That was The Use of Force by Law Enforcement Officers by Catherine Eldridge.